In the Kurakhove sector, Ukrainian Dragon's Teeth stopped Russian armored vehicles for a while. A line of anti-tank bulwarks has been installed on the way to the Ukrainian town of Kurakhove in the Donetsk region. Recently, a Russian armored convoy tried to break through this line of fortifications, but Ukrainian paratroopers of the 46th Separate Airmobile Brigade stopped it. The Russians were trying to bypass the road through a field from occupied Maximilianivka towards Kurakhove. However, in the field, a line of anti-tank bulwarks was waiting for the invader assault armored group. Under artillery fire, one tank reached the Dragon's Teeth and was forced to slow down and start shooting at the bulwarks with its cannon. At this time, Ukrainian FPV strike drones began to attack the Russian tank. Engineered barriers work effectively only in conjunction with fire damage to enemy vehicles trying to break through them. If the fortifications do not have military personnel behind them to inflict damage on the enemy, the Dragon's Teeth will be ineffective. Due to their size, anti-tank berms also make passages difficult to clear. That is why they are often combined with minefields and wire barriers. For effective defense, anti-tank bulwarks usually need to be partially buried in the ground. However, in the Russian-Ukrainian war, they are usually simply placed on the ground. In September, in the Kursk region, the Ukrainian territorial defense repulsed a mechanized offensive by the invaders using the captured Russian defense line. Russia's forces continue to pay a record price in personnel and equipment losses amid Vladimir Putin's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, according to figures by Kyiv. Russia has suffered record losses of personnel, armored vehicles, and artillery systems, Ukraine's defense ministry said in its latest update on Thursday. According to the report, over the previous day, Russia had lost 17 armored fighting vehicles, taking the total loss of this equipment since the start of the war to 18,450. Kyiv's figures for October claim that Russia had lost 903 of the vehicles, which is the highest monthly total since February 2022, beating the previous record of 889 recorded in March 2022 at the start of the war. Ukraine also said Thursday that 91 cars and cisterns belonging to Russian forces had been lost over the previous day, taking the wartime tally to 27,840. Drilling down into these numbers for October showed that over the last month there were record losses of this equipment of 2,340, beating the previous high of 2,103 in July. Ukraine's estimate of Russia's artillery systems has also surpassed the milestone of 20,000, reaching 20,013 on Thursday. Meanwhile, on the metric of troop losses, which includes those both killed and injured, Russia continues to pay a huge cost in personnel, according to Kyiv. It said on Thursday that there were 1,560 Russian casualties over the previous day, taking the total for the war to 693,640. The monthly tally for October reached 40,520, the highest of Putin's full-scale invasion, beating the previous record of 38,940 in May this year. Ukraine says its figures are approximate. Getting an accurate number for Russian losses is difficult with neither side publicizing the toll in personnel or equipment in the war. Russia has not updated its official figure of troop losses since September 2022, when it said that just under 6,000 soldiers had died. Ukraine is also tight-lipped about its personnel losses, although in February 2024, President Volodymyr Zelensky said 31,000 Ukrainian troops have been killed, which is lower than other estimates. Russian forces are making incremental gains in Donetsk, but they rely on infantry-heavy assaults that generate high numbers of casualties in what are dubbed meat grinder tactics. The chief of the defense staff for the British Army, Admiral Sir Tony Radakin, said in July it would take 5 years to replenish the Russian army to where it was before the start of the war. However, Moscow is reportedly able to call on around 30,000 new recruits each month. Also, its force numbers will be boosted by North Korean troops, around 10,000 of whom will be sent to Russia to fight, according to the Pentagon. The Pentagon on Friday announced the United States is giving Ukraine an additional $425 million in military assistance. The announcement comes as U.S. officials say more than 10,000 North Korean troops have joined Russian forces in the war that Russian President Vladimir Putin launched with an invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. In a statement, the U.S. Department of Defense, DoD, noted this is the 69th tranche of equipment that President Joe Biden's administration has provided Ukraine to aid in its defenses against Putin's military. The package will provide Ukraine additional capabilities to meet its most urgent needs, including air defense interceptors, munitions for rocket systems and artillery, armored vehicles, and anti-tank weapons, the DoD said. According to the DoD, the package, which will be drawn from U.S. inventories, will include a large assortment of equipment and weapons. The DoD statement said the capabilities in the new assistance packages includes munitions for National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile Systems, NASAMS, Stinger missiles, counter-unmanned aerial systems, CUAS equipment and munitions, air-to-ground munitions, ammunition for high-mobility artillery rocket systems, HIMARS, 155mm and 105mm artillery ammunition, tube-launched, optically tracked, wire-guided, TOW missiles, Javelin and AT-4 anti-armor systems, Stryker armored personnel carriers, small arms and ammunition, medical equipment, demolitions equipment and munitions, and spare parts, ancillary equipment, services, training and transportation.
Армата! Уши! Уши! Пострел! Пострел! Армата! Выйди!